because maybe the police found this man or woman on the street,
Yeah.
and they were sleeping on the street, and it was a cold night. So the police will often pick them up and bring them to us.
Okay.
Because we don't want anybody out on the street on a cold night. We don't want anybody out on the street. Each evening we have approximately 1,000 people in Buffalo homeless.
Really?
And that's from a study that the Homeless Alliance of Western New York conducted last year.
Okay.
So think of it. There are 1,000 people each night that don't have a place to put
Wow.
their head, except for on the street or on a park bench or under an overpass or a park or wherever they can find a nice warm spot.
Well, how many can you handle in one night? I mean, you certainly don't have facilities like for 1,000 people.
No, for between the two facilities, we can handle about 350 people.
Okay.
We can feed more than that. So if
Yeah.
somebody is just coming to us for a meal, which often happens, we have in the neighborhoods that we serve,
Yeah.
there are a lot of working poor.
Yeah.
The minimum wage today that people earn is not enough for them to live with, so they will come to us. We also hand out clothes to our neighborhoods, and we
Okay.
also hand out food bags on a weekly basis to individuals or families on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And that's food that's been donated to us from everybody, from churches, from volunteer organizations, much like the Kiwanis or the Rotary Club or the Knights of Columbus. The Knights of Columbus in Hamburg just ran a big promotion for us where they had a 3-on-3 basketball tournament and raised almost $1,000 for us.
Well, you know, you really kind of need to think about this, those that are watching this, because, you know, we're sitting here talking to a person that says that we can, you know, sleep 300, 350, maybe 400 people a night, but there still leaves about 600 left that are out there. What is it do you think you can do in your own home, or what is it that the Lord is speaking to your own heart about the other 600? You know, it's one thing, you know, not everybody can get to go on a foreign mission someplace. It's easier to write a check and send somebody else. But here you're talking locally. You know, you have some place where people can go, but they certainly can't handle them all either. So that leaves the rest of the church, and leaves the rest of us, and leaves the rest of you, even that aren't even Christians, that may want to reach out to the homeless. What does it take, you know, to become a volunteer at the City of Missions? Are you looking for something specific? Is there training? Can anybody, you know, help out?
Well, our volunteers have been supporting us since we opened in 1917. We had one paid attendant, and that was the executive director of the mission. All of our other work was done by volunteers. We had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to have an appreciation luncheon for our volunteers. They are the cornerstone of what we do on a daily basis. We have many different programs for volunteers, and our volunteers come in all shapes and sizes. They're older people.
Yeah.
There are housewives. There are church groups that come and volunteer. For example, we just had a group come in and paint our whole men's initial meeting room. There are groups from schools. We just had KeyBank came in during their employee outreach program. They came in last week and redid all of the beds outside, the flower beds, and pruned all the trees and the hedges and everything for us last week at both of our facilities. It's just a blessing. But the volunteers, as an integral part of our mission, we have a very strong program. And just call the mission and dial extension 400, and that will get you Marcia McLaughlin, and Marcia can direct you to the appropriate person in our volunteer department.
Wow.
But if it's just one time, that's great. If you'd like to commit to a weekly volunteering, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, that's great as well. I know that they like to keep it to about minimum of 3-hour slots, because then we can train you for specific tasks that you do on a weekly basis, and that works out very well.
Can people actually like minister to the people who are staying there? Is there a possibility of doing that? I mean, you're talking a lot of physical things right now, like, you know, painting and taking care of flowers and stuff. But what about working directly with the, you know, the outcasts, the downtrodden, the ones that are homeless? Is there a way that they can work directly with them also?
Absolutely. A lot of it depends on the gifting that the individual volunteer has. And what we try to do is to take that gifting that they have, and if their gift is preaching, then we try to put them directly with the men.
Okay.
and the women. We have on every day during our chapel service at noontime, we have preachers come in from all over the city come in.
Okay.
And that's what you were doing when you come over to
Yeah,
Cornerstone in
yeah,
the evening. You were preaching to the women over there.
Yeah.
Those are all volunteer pastors that
Wow.
do that work for us, and it's just truly amazing.
All right. Now we have a roll-in, which is about a 5-minute, thing that somebody shot down at the City Mission, and we're going to run that roll-in and let people get an idea of what happens down there. So as we do this, it's about a 5-minute thing that gives you a good idea what happens at the City Mission. So why don't you sit back, relax, and enjoy and see what City Mission does right now in the city of Buffalo.
Everyone has had adversity in their lives at one time or another. Most of us find strength in our family, our work, our community, and in our faith. But more often than we'd like to think, there are many who do not have access to the care, support, and guidance that would enable them to overcome adversity. What follows is the story of a few of those people who faced poverty, abuse, addiction, and fear, and found a way through adversity to a new life.
I'm 36, kind of started out young using drugs and alcohol.
At about 15 years old, I started smoking crack and got lost into the streets.
Really wanted to escape my reality, so anything that would take me away from my reality was good.
I started selling drugs. I had a drug house. I was well known. If you needed to get some weed or something like that, go to Shrees.
My daughter was born and I really wasn't ready for it. And so it kind of took me over an edge and I started using a lot more.
When CPS was called, one time my son literally had a nervous breakdown and destroyed the house, and I had to send my son to a facility. And I haven't seen my son since in 4 years. I
was still working as a supervisor and making very good money, and I started just using all my money to get high, and I was really on a downward spiral. I ended up homeless, and I ended up moving in with his friends who, they all did heroin. There was kids in the house. There was no food, no nothing. At that point, I just was like, don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know why this keeps happening. I'm trying to live right, and it took me to a point where I was ready basically just to end my life. I loved my daughter. She was the only thing that kept me happy. And I can look at her to this day and know that that little girl, aside from my son, saved my life. I really didn't have anywhere to go, but my friend brought me to the Buffalo City Mission. And I went to my mother's and I said, Mom, I'm leaving him, I'm not going back. And she said, well, you can't stay here. And I was like, I don't want to stay here. That's when I called Buffalo City Mission Cornerstone Manor. I can say the mission, the program has saved my life. I wouldn't be here today and wouldn't want to be here. If I hadn't got into the program and worked on the issues I had inside, the anger, the desperation. Oh God, if you only knew. So, I had electricity, hot water. I wasn't going nowhere. And I've gotten back into school, which is an awesome thing. Hopefully soon, with Cornerstone's help, I'll get some kind of relationship back with my son. With what I've been through and the times I should have been dead, I should be helping people. So that's what I'm gonna try and do.